So we have a big topic to talk about today. You guys have asked me about this. I mentioned in my most recent book thrifting video, which I will link down below in case you missed it. I mentioned going back to reading clean closed door books. We will talk about why I made the decision to go back to reading strictly clean and closed door. Guys, I am excited about this video. If your opinions and values don't align with mine, that is okay, but you guys asked, so here I am. Let's get started. Welcome back for those that are coming back. For those that are new here, my name is Laura, and Clean and Closed Door reads. Guys, I have to say, I don't know if you can tell by my presence in videos, but I just feel like a huge weight has been lifted off of me, and that's not saying this decision will feel like this for everyone. This is just my experience. Okay, it feels like a huge weight has been lifted off me, like I said. And I feel more at peace. And I want to start by saying I went from reading literally anything to reading Clean and Closed Door to reading literally anything again. And now we are here reading Clean and Closed Door again, and that will not be changing. So why did I make my first decision to read Clean and Closed Door? This all came about when I saw people in the bookish community. It was mainly on Bookstagram talking about adult toys and books, and like that was something that never had clicked in my head. That was never ever a reason that I would be picking up a book. My intentions for picking up a book were always that deep emotional plot. And that's the thing for me, like, people remember spice scenes in books, whereas for me, that's not something I remember. And oftentimes when people will like quote a spice scene, or you'll like see a good portion of the spicy scene on their like posts, and I'm like, I don't remember that, because that is not what I'm going into a book for, right? So that is why I initially stopped reading, you know, just literally anything, and went to Clean and Closed Door, because I didn't want anybody to think potentially that would even be a reason why I would be picking up a book, right? So then I went and I was reading Clean and Closed Door, and then I was like, you know what? My intentions with picking up books has always been pure, and you guys as my audience know that. You guys are always here and like seeing what I read and my thoughts and everything like that. I don't think I can be any clearer that spice does not ever make a book for me, but spice could have broken a book for me, and I made that very clear. But here's the thing, right? Things change, and something came up where I was like, okay, my intentions are very pure. I'm gonna go back to reading everything, because I know me, my intentions are pure, and you know, it's okay for me to do this because I know myself and my intentions. Here's the thing. All right, you guys know I love my faith. I am a very faith-based person, but I haven't really been practicing consistently. That's my thing. I hadn't been practicing consistently. And that is something that has changed. I am practicing my faith consistently now, and something actually ended up popping up on my Instagram page exactly when I needed it. Okay, so we all know about Charlie Kirk's death and assassination. Well, I would say about 2 days before his assassination, a video of his ended up popping up, and it was explaining how intentions don't really matter. Okay, and that's how he put it. Intentions don't matter. Okay, so how I'm going to explain this. This was not the exact example Charlie Kirk gave. I don't believe. I forget what example he gave, but this is the one that kind of sticks with me, where he's like, okay, intentions don't necessarily matter, because if you're going into a store, right? If you're going into a grocery store and you don't have the money to pay for the food, you're going in to get food for your family, right? It's a good intention to get food for your family, but you're not paying for this food, you're stealing it. And that is kind of where, you know, it had me thinking like, okay, my intentions might be pure, but are my actions pure? Are my actions godly? And that is kind of the thing that Charlie Kirk brought up. Like, is the action godly? And yes, your intention is there, your intention is good, but you're participating in an action that is not good and ungodly. And, you know, what is the godly act? Okay, well, do you think Jesus would be reading books with spice? No. And that's not to say that you can't read them. You guys are making your own decisions. This is my conviction. This is how I ended up, you know, going back to Clean and Clothes Store. This is what you guys asked for, so this is what I'm talking about. And that hit me, and that hit me hard. And I went to Dave and I was like, this just hit me. And he was like, I get where you're coming from, and I can see, you know, how the intention doesn't necessarily matter if the action is not godly. And so I was like, this was like the final confirmation, because I had on my heart, I felt like in my soul something was pulling me away from books that contained sexually explicit scenes and books that contained tons of cursing and things like that. And like, I just want what is going to feed my soul. And now that I was battling with it at first, and honestly I talked to a priest about it, and he was like, you need to go with essentially what your heart says, and you need to, and I was like, it's hard being a romance reader nowadays with books that are in Barnes and Noble. It's hard being a romance reader and picking up a book and being like, okay, I know this doesn't have spice. So many books in Barnes and Noble, I can guarantee you would pick up and you would know it would have spice. Now that's not why you're picking it up, but you know it's in there. And he was like, I would try to avoid books that you know have it. Okay, well that's like 90% of the book. So we're just going Clean and Closed Door here. But like I said, I did even talk to our pastor, and that's how like conflicted I was. I felt my heart pulling me one place, but I felt like it's not that I even couldn't give it up, but I was being pulled by both sides, being like, okay, but the intention's pure. And then this side being like, but you shouldn't be doing this. It's not godly. And ultimately I ended up just stopping. I am going to go with where my convictions are, and that is with reading Clean and Closed Door, because for me, that is just my convictions. That is how I'm feeling. I feel like that Charlie Kirk message was almost put there for a reason, because I had been battling with the choice to go back to Clean and Closed Door for so long that was just like a slap to the face kind of thing, and it was something I needed in that exact moment. And it's funny how God does things like that, guys. The timing is just absolutely insane and incredible, and I am just absolutely in shock and in awe about God's incredible timing throughout my entire life. And Dave even says, he's like, you are just so faithful about how things just fall into place. And I'm like, God has just been absolutely amazing with his timing, and I give it all to God, honestly. But anyway, that is what led me to reading Clean and Closed Door, and it's the timing of literally everything is just absolutely insane. Again, I literally just going over it in my mind is incredible. I hope I'm making sense, because I feel like I'm just rambling at this point, because I could literally talk about this for what feels like forever. And I don't want to waste your guys' time. I don't want to bore you guys, but I am now consistently practicing my faith. I am picking up my Bible every single day. I am going through and annotating and like studying the Bible. I got a chronological Bible, which I showed you in another video, which I will link down below. Guys, it's been absolutely amazing. I've been having a blast with it, diving deep diving into this thing. I have extra pages added in with notes. I'm just doing so much faith-wise that I just feel absolutely incredible, and I hope you guys can feel that through this video. And again, this is not to say anybody has to do anything one way or the other, or like, you know, try to sway people. That is not necessarily what this is. You guys asked me why I ended up making the decision I did. I wanted to share it with you guys, and yeah, so that is essentially it. We are going to be reading Clean and Closed Door. I'm hoping also, while I'm doing Clean and Closed Door, I want to read a lot of indie work. Guys, I just started. I started an indie series that I am absolutely in love with. It's an indie Christian fiction series. I talked about it over on my Instagram. Amy Caldwell is the author, and the first book is Boundless. I am obsessed, especially if you're looking for books with good faith elements. Anyway, where I'm going with that, I want to read a lot of indie books. Indie romances, I feel like, is where I go for my Clean Closed Door romances. They're more easy to find than like books in Barnes & Noble, books by traditional publishers. You just kind of never know. And then I really want to dive into a ton more Christian fiction. And this is like traditionally published books, things like that. And obviously I want to read more indie as well, but as far as like traditionally published books, you're always good to go with Christian fiction generally, and I feel like that's a safe place. And I also want to highlight Christian authors. I think that's just absolutely incredible and where my mind has been. So enough with the spieling. That is a little update on how I made my decision, why I made my decision, and here we are, guys. So thank you for sticking around for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I would love to know if you have any clean closed door book recommendations. Leave them in the comments down below. Any favorite authors, leave those as well. Thank you guys for sticking with me for this video. Again, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys soon.